Hello traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com on September the 9th, 2018. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices, where they might be headed. We'll talk about indicators which are mostly mixed in the short term and bullish long term. Sentiment and breadth have faded somewhat as the FANG stocks indicate the NASDAQ is lower and fading from recent highs. While the New York Stock Exchange holds near the 50-day moving average, the number of stocks making 52-week highs, NYHL, is mixed but still bullish long term. Put call ratio is neutral. VIX is at 1488. It did rise above its 50-day. And we have VIX VXV, the front month to the 3-month volatility index at 0.90, neutral, with bullish percent fading, which is actually bullish when it moves the opposite direction, short term. Last week we talked about the possibility of a crescendo in the markets or an area where we might fade. That is exactly what happened, and the cycle turned a bit lower. Price action is near a trend line if you take these pivot lows, and if we lose this further, there's a potential that we could come down and test the 50-day moving average. There's a couple of gaps down here that we would fill if that was the case. However, at the present time, we still look pretty strong. Earnings and sales are better than expected, and guidance from most companies going forward is bullish. That said, if you consider the weakness over the last 5 trading days, we came back to the 50-day moving average. We're holding at that level presently with the NASDAQ 100 and the FANG stocks getting hit on the head. There's a possibility that we could see a bounce in some of those oversold stocks. Many of them got hit pretty hard. Small caps also pulling back to that breakout zone near 170. Holding, we did see buyers stepping up. You can see the wicks on these candles. So with the 50-day just shy of this area here, previous price action, we're looking for a bounce in the short term in small caps as well. With the cycle turning lower, it has been making higher lows. Here is the New York Stock Exchange Composite, a broad measure of market participation, 2,000 stocks. When we look at this particular index, the first thing that jumps out at me is that price action pulled back to the 50-day, which is very important. The second thing that jumps out at me is the distribution volume has been climbing steadily. So exercise a bit of caution this week. If we do get a follow-through day on Monday, Tuesday, we'll start to position for a bounce. As yields move higher and bonds move lower, of course, the bond stock ratio 10-year to the S&P 500 continues to drop. Fixed income investors have to find a place to make their money work. They're favoring equities over bonds as this ratio drops. Looking at the US dollar for a moment, we do want to see this move back down a bit, which would be bullish equities. We don't want the dollar to move back up to the highs. That would create a headwind for US equities in the short term, right when we need it most. That said, it is the seasonally weakest month of the year. I wouldn't be surprised to see US dollar retest the highs. If that happens, gold and copper will most likely continue their trend lower. This is one of the best looking charts out of all of the S&P 500 sectors, so keep that in mind. We did see improvement and follow through in transports. Real estate looks okay if you have some REITs. We also have strength in the industrials. Looking for strength this week in financials. Staples looked pretty good last week, as did XLU Utilities. This is the cleanest looking chart out of the bunch though, so keep an eye on your healthcare names. We'll also look for consumer discretionary to continue along its bullish trend as the economy expands. Additional names we're watching this week, looking for Etsy to follow through. after last week's performance. Etsy is near a bounce point, followed through on Friday, looking for a push to the upside again this week. Roku, want to sell some covered calls on this one, looking really good. Big cup and handle breakout, continuation pattern. Depth of the cup is the intermediate term targets. With relative strength line climbing, this one looks pretty good going forward. Despite the headwind that Amazon presents with its own Roku box, if you will, the stock did pull back below 60, giving an opportunity to those who were quick to jump in. We already had a position looking for Roku to continue higher. Decker's Outdoor, we're looking for this one to break out above this level here. We do have a buy zone up overhead. If it does break above the 123 zone, this consolidation will most likely lead to higher prices in the short term. Cigna Corp in the medical managed care group continues to break higher, looking for relative strength line to continue climbing and a break above 192 for confirmation and continuation of the current trend. Looking pretty good. 50-200 cross coming in the weeks ahead. Looking for Cigna to continue to outperform with the group. XLV, as we pointed out, is one of the cleanest looking sector charts in the S&P 500 industry groups. Allergan also looking very good. One of the stocks that Mikey's watching. Note this pivot level over here. A break above that level would signal continuation. Relative strength line is climbing. Looking for this name in the medical ethical drugs group to continue to push higher. Amazon also in the leaders group, looking for a follow through as the stock continues to climb. Pullbacks, looking for a pullback to breakout zones or pivot levels for possible entries. The longer term trend is higher. And finally, there is Tesla, a stock that I'm interested in shorting. If we can get a bounce back up to the 300 level, we'll see how that plays out. This is a wild card at the present time. We'll be watching this one this week live during the broadcast. So keep an eye on Tesla, something we wouldn't mind shorting in the near term. The caveat, of course, is that Elon may be sucking people in to think that he's a little bit crazy. When in actuality, it might just be his plan. We'll wait and see. This is one stock that you really have to know what the hell you're doing. So keep an eye on Tesla. Could be interesting this week. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com with your weekend video newsletter on September the 9th, 2018. We'll send out a watch list later tonight around 10:30, 11 o'clock. Look for that in your inbox. If you're on the East Coast, good luck with Hurricane Florence. Hopefully it runs right back out to sea. Until then, we'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.